Hello, and welcome back to the Ladies Wrestling Grio podcast. It is a beautiful day, and why not start out with something that I have really been enjoying? And I was waiting for this match to be able to actually talk about it. And what I want to talk about today is the feud between Roxanne Perez and Meiko Satomura. I have been waiting because I really wanted to see what they were going to do with this first match between Roxanne and Meiko, with Roxanne being the champ. I wanted to see how that was going to play out before I really talked about this build up feud that they have. One that's actually steeped in a lot of respect and admiration from both women. And I thought that that was really awesome that they have the feud playing out in this way because it makes it very unique to the other feuds that we see in NXT right now, where usually there's some bad blood. Someone you more than likely attacked someone because they had their eye on the title, or there was some backhanded thing that really tore up a friendship that usually leads to a feud. This feud is very unique where those elements really aren't at play with this. So I thought it was very unique how they decided to have this challenge for the still very new champ, Roxanne Perez. I thought, especially with seeing new women come into the company that may have made their names in other companies and we're very familiar with them. Obviously, what one being Mako, where she has truly um, made a name for herself. She is absolutely, I know people use this all the time, but this really does apply to Meiko Satomura. She is a legend in the business. So the fans are very aware of her and thought it was interesting. And I'm fully for them having a legend like Mako be one of the first challengers that Roxanne has, because right now they are really in the stage of proving that Roxanne can be a very strong champion. So it really is fitting that Mako would be one of her first challengers. So let's just get into how this feud came to be. And we have to go back to around August, when the announcement came that NXT UK would be closing their doors. And during that time, there, and still is a bit of uncertainty to what would happen to that amazing roster, even though we know that we will have NXT Europe soon. I thought it was supposed to be happening in March, but maybe it's been held off a little, or maybe it's a little bit further down the line, maybe summertime. But we're with the closing of NXT UK, it's supposed to be establishment of NXT Europe. So we know that that's still happening. So more than likely, a lot of talent that was on the NXT UK roster will just transition into that. But there were a lot of talent that have been making some very impressive appearances and even holding titles in NXT US right now. So Miko was one of them that was brought up relatively early after that decision was made, or announcement was made for NXT UK to pretty much dissolve at that point. As soon as that happened, you saw Mako come with her NXT UK Women's Championship to NXT US and make it very clear that, she still saw herself as an active champ and she wanted to take on another champ, which was an former NXT Women's Champion, Mandy Rose. And I thought that was awesome that they really wanted to start off at the bat with having Miko come over to challenge. But we also knew, of course, with NXT UK closing down, that this was more of a challenge to kind of put a wrap and tie it nicely with a beautiful bow over Mako's NXT UK Women's title reign, because they didn't just want to disrespectfully leave it where she didn't have like a closing off match to really wrap up her very impressive run at NXT UK, and they chose someone that I think really improved by leaps and bounds and was really wearing the hell out of that NXT championship with how great her matches were, Mandy Rose. And I'm not gonna lie, there still is a hole left with Mandy Rose not being anymore. As much as I am definitely enjoying Roxanne Perez's run, I think there was something about that confidence that Mandy had with holding that title. And it really felt like, she's the head of the roster for a reason. And I thought that that was why that was a perfect champ to me for Meiko to challenge with, because it really felt like, okay, if you guys are going to unify this title with this match, you really having two of the best to hold those titles. So honestly, the crowd is more curious about seeing how this match will go versus who exactly is going to win, because honestly, you couldn't root against either one. So we have, just backtrack a minute, with the announcement of NXT UK closing its doors and Meiko coming to unify the title and challenge Mandy Rose. We see and we know in the back of our heads that more than likely Meiko Satomura is not going to win this match and that the titles will be unified. That way they can just transition Meiko to the NXT US roster. And that's exactly what happened. They made this match into a triple threat, which I was a bit upset about because I didn't think that it did any favors for Blair Davenport to just be put into this match versus having like her own feud and really solidifying her on her own. And it didn't do any favors to, honestly, the fans wanting to see Mandy Rose and Meiko fight and just have their own moment to have that match. But the ending of that match was that Mandy was able to come out strong and keep her title, not only keep her title, but be able to have the NXT UK title and to say that she was a double champ and to really ride that cloud. Not long after that match, you don't really see Meiko on NXT TV that much during that time. And it was a very abrupt end to Mandy Rose's WWE career and title reign when Roxanne won the NXT Women's title. And of course, because of everything that Roxanne was showing with her making it very clear that it was leading up to her being a champ soon, because she truly had the ambition, she had the drive, she had the passion for it. It was very quick and I'm pretty sure very shocking to fans and people behind the scenes that Roxanne got the title that quickly for Mandy Rose, because leading from that summer, this past summer, they were really building up the women's division and having a tournament so that eventually the women's championship could be challenged, for it to end in just like an abrupt title win instead of a long feud, which was planned. It was planned for Roxanne and Mandy to have a long drawn out feud and really build it up, possibly building it up leading into the pay-per-view that they're supposed to have during WrestleMania week. I'm pretty sure maybe that was when Roxanne and Mandy was supposed to fight. I believe that's the Stand and Deliver pay-per-view that they're going to have around the WrestleMania weekend. Instead of us getting that long feud, Roxanne challenged quite quickly and she won. And we all know that's because Mandy Rose was fired. And then Roxanne had to put on her shoulders that she was now the head of the roster. She has to defend this title and feel very confident about really displaying why she has that title and why she is now the head of the division. But I really feel like Roxanne has taken that in stride. She knows that obviously, one, she has many things against her. She's a very young champion. So everyone's clearly going to always point that out as something that they feel is a negative, even though honestly, on the NXT roster, Roxanne has more experience than a lot of women that are starting out, because a lot of women in NXT are from a different background, usually more of an athletic, collegiate background, instead of having that wrestling training for years like Roxanne has had. She started training, I believe, you know what? I was going to say 16, but I think it was before that actually that she started training. She was very, very young when she started training. So there's a lot under her belt. And she has been over the past 2 to 3 years, really been proving on every roster that she's been in, whether it was Row Wrestling, Ring of Honor, now NXT, that every time she's on a roster, her drive, her passion, her determination, her ability to really be an amazing babyface too always sends her to the top of the roster. And she's certainly doing that in this short run that she's had so far. So after that win that Roxanne had against Mandy Rose to become the champ, she has pretty much had a bounty on her head. Every woman on that roster who wants this championship, and it seems like Roxanne is fully aware of that, and she's completely taking these challenges on. So that brings us to this new challenge that Roxanne has had over the past few weeks, um, which I feel at this moment is one of her biggest challenges so far as a champ. So just like I said, there was a break in seeing Meiko Satomura on NXT TV, but then Meiko makes her way back and she has a tag team match with Roxanne Perez in which they were victorious. But at the end of the match and at the end of the celebration for that, Meiko makes it very clear that she wants to challenge for that title, and she didn't forget that that's something that she has her eye on. And immediately, Roxanne sees it as an honor and she accepts the challenge, but she also makes it very clear to Mako that she is not the same performer that she was when they first met, that she has grown by leaps and bounds, that she really has an understanding of who she is as a performer at this stage in her life. And Mako's looking on respectfully, but I don't think that Mako was phased by that or that it in any way made her doubt her chances of getting that title at the end of their match. She honestly looked like she was curious to see what Roxanne had to offer in their impending match. So the match is set, it is official, and this leads to us seeing the build up to this match, what kind of starts off, with this segment of Mako training this young female talent at the performance center. And we see Mako, she makes it very clear to the women that, you need to take this seriously and that we're going to start this and you got to be on your A game. Before they start training, Roxanne comes and asks politely if she can join in with the training. And Mako graciously allows her to come into the ring and join in with the workouts that the women are having. And as soon as the workout starts, you see that Mako is bringing on these challenges of how far these women can push themselves throughout these workouts to make it through. And as they do the sit-ups, the push-ups, the 1,000 squats, you just start seeing women leaving the ring or leaving the performance center one by one. And every time you see Mako kind of have a little smirk on her face, knowing that not everyone has the mental capacity to be able to endure those type of workouts that she's used to. Those Joshi wrestling dojo workouts that are not for the faint of heart. And I love that they're bringing that into the NXT roster where they have to have that type of training. But even before Mako came in, I mean, when you hear about a lot of the wrestlers, male or female, that come as trainees into the performance center, they talk about how grueling those workouts are. So I like that they were kind of given a sneak peek into, or behind the scenes peek into, what trainees go through with being at the performance center. You can only be the best if you're getting that type of training. And so you see the women start to slowly bring down the numbers of the trainees that are still doing this Meiko Satomura workout. And as you see it get towards the end, and they're getting closer and closer to finishing the 1,000 squats that Meiko has ordered the women to do, you see toward the end, it's only Roxanne that is left, and she makes it through the 1,000 squats. And she's so happy. She thanks Meiko. She bows. She says her thank you so much for the workout. She's starting to leave, and Meiko makes it clear, hold on, you're not done. That was just a warm up. And now they're starting the training. And Roxanne looks a bit startled, but she immediately turns that off and makes it very clear, okay, I'm going to keep going with you because I want to respect first off you, and you're definitely not getting the best of me of you thinking that I can't handle this. And they really show a segment of some really great mat work training. Just a lot of fused kickboxing into it, just a lot of good stuff that you can see that as a part of Meiko's arsenal when she fights. And Roxanne really holding her own with this training. That was really awesome, especially because many times in NXT or specifically WWE, we don't usually get a chance to see these really awesome workout segments and training segments that incorporate mat work, and usually boxing or kickboxing, any of those elements. So it was really nice to see that and see that that was going to be, or that was being shown to kind of get us really hyped up for what move sets and styles would be in this match. So it was really cool to see. So Roxanne makes it through this training. You can tell that even though she is exhausted, she is really excited that she got a chance to be able to have, at that point, a one-on-one session with Meiko and to really see how she is as a performer, but to also see that she could push herself to new limits that she may not have known before. And Roxanne is really respectful again. She bows, she shakes Meiko's hand, and she tells her that she's very honored to work out with her. And Meiko makes it very clear that the match that they're going to have, the training that she puts herself through, is not just physical. It is always about having enough heart to make it through those matches. That's what pushes you through. And it was just a great segment, honestly, because of everything that they packed just into that one segment. That really sold me on the match. If I didn't already feel that way before, even with just the announcement, because I felt like it was so awesome that they were showing this really great sportsmanship between the women, but that you can still see their competitive nature seeping through, but in a healthy way where it didn't have to be catfighting or constantly going back on someone saying they need revenge. That works for many other storylines, but I feel with this one is really unique because it's just showing these are two very respectful, awesome, but highly competitive women. And even though they're showing such a high level of respect for one another, neither woman thinks that they're going to lose, and they are putting their best foot forward. Even though Roxanne is extremely sweet, let's not be naive here. She wanted to be a part of that training session because she wanted to see with her own two eyes what Meiko is capable of and what she might have on arsenal. Now, we also know too, Meiko is very respectful too. She had no problem with Roxanne being part of that training session, but she's not going to show Roxanne everything that she can do. Some things need to be held close to the chest. So I thought that this was, in my opinion, the segment that really just sold why this would be a great matchup between the two. So this was a really, really good segment that I haven't seen in a while, with building up a match in that way, especially for women's wrestlers. So we had this training session. Both women leave this session having high level of respect for each other, but clearly you can see the fire in their eyes to be victorious in their upcoming match. And this leads to Meiko getting some more practice, I should say, before this upcoming match with her fighting Zoe Starks, who is someone that I would say is on the rise to possibly becoming a really strong competitor and possible contender for the women's championship down the line. But I thought this was a really good match between Meiko and Zoe because I feel like Zoe's transition now to kind of being, I guess you could say, a heel is really working with her because it really fits her hard nosed wrestling style that she has. And I thought that she did a good job with standing toe to toe with Mako. But with Roxanne being ringside, and once again, Roxanne being very smart to want to see everything that she needs to build up a proper offense against Mako is just constantly showing how people doubt whether she's a worthy champ, but she's showing that she is also a master of studying things around her to better help her in these matches. She's very calculated. Champ that you're seeing, and that's really starting to build with her character, which I think is smart. So having that ringside seat to be on commentary and see everything that Mako's doing during this match with Zoe, where Zoe was holding her own, but Mako was definitely taking to her. I think that probably helped Roxanne to figure out how she can counter certain things that Mako would be doing. Because, yes, it was very, very helpful for Roxanne to be a part of that training session, but more than likely, things that Miko probably would not have shown her in that training session were quite visible in this match. So it was really good to have a match that kind of leads up to Roxanne getting more, who is the champion, more of an advantage to see what Mako might try to do to her in their upcoming match. So this leads us to NXT Roadblock, where we finally have the match between Meiko Satomura and Roxanne Perez. So we have both women come to the ring with amazing entrances. The fans are completely behind both women. Um, just like I said, sometimes you're going to have those matches where there really isn't uh, this absolute division between the fans that one woman should win over the other. Sometimes you just really love both women and you care more about how the match is going to be displayed versus who would necessarily come out as the winner. And I think that this match was certainly an example of that. So both women come to the ring, they're extremely confident. Um, they really feel the love of the crowd, and you can tell that they both feel very confident going into this match. And I think that this match was a great showcase that Roxanne could hold her own in a match like this with a legend like Mako. And you see toward the middle of the match, maybe I would say probably a little bit earlier on than the middle, kind of close to the middle, you see what seems like could be possibly the kiss of death for Roxanne Perez when she receives this wicked kick to the back of her head from Mako, and she falls immediately. But before she can fully fall, Mako quickly grabs her and puts her in a German suplex that causes her to land right on her head. And as a fan, you kind of startled because you feel like, hey, she may not, make it much longer through this match. And you can see that very swift movement of Mako and hard kicks that really comes out of nowhere, that she has really clocked in on what could take Roxanne out. And honestly, I thought as a fan that she was done for in the match when I saw that, but somehow Roxanne was able to get out of that and come back. And she didn't give up. She actually takes more of the brutal kicks outside of the ring, in the ring, and she still pulls off an offense and rolls Mako up into a pin and gets the win to retain her title. Which actually, if you look, it seemed like that was even shocking to Roxanne that she was able to get that quick pin off of Mako, and I'm pretty sure it shocked Mako as well. So after seeing the match, and that's why I wanted to kind of wait before I talked about this feud. Um, after seeing this match on Roadblock that happened this week, I wanted to see it because you could see that there was um, a concentrated effort from Roxanne to really make sure that she understood and studied who she was getting in the ring with, so that when she probably calculated, there might be times where I'm going to take some brutal kicks and really get my clock knocked a little bit, that I can be able to recover from that and try to use my quickness to be an advantage of mine. And she certainly did that. She pulled through it. The only negative I have to say about the match is that I wished it could have been longer, because for it to be the main event, it seemed like they were just quickly trying to wrap up this match. I think with the end ring action, maybe it was 5 to 6 minutes. So for such a nice build up, it was a relatively quick match. But they did make good use of their time, and it was insanely entertaining. So when Roxanne is feeling the euphoria of actually making it through this match, Meiko does such a respectful thing, not surprising, but still really awesome, where Meiko stops the referee from giving Roxanne the title, and she brings it to Roxanne. She makes sure she picks her up, and she lets Roxanne have that moment to celebrate still having her championship. And I thought that that was very respectful and so in character of who Satomura is and what she represents. And as Roxanne is feeling the euphoria for winning and the crowd is going wild, she's absorbing this win, and then suddenly she just passes out in the middle of the ring. And this is to the shock of both the ref and Meiko. So everyone's just looking. The entire crowd goes silent for a few minutes, and immediately the ref goes to tend to Roxanne, and Meiko's right there trying to check on her too. She starts to go into the corner as she just feels really guilty about what happened to Roxanne, more than likely thinking that her kicks led to Roxanne passing out. We have not too long after that, we have they'll come out with the gurney, and they have the staff that help to get Roxanne to the ambulance that's waiting outside. Even Shawn Michaels comes to the ring to see what's going on with her. We get the claps from the fans when they put her on the gurney and they're taking her out. And that leads to this ending of the NXT episode, to where we don't know what's going on with Roxanne. We don't know if she suffered from a concussion or what. And it leads us to definitely feel as fans that we will get more from these ladies, that it's not just going to be left off with them having this one match. And I love that that is probably a possibility, because just like I stated, the only negative that I felt to this match was that I felt that the timing could have been stretched out or extended for a match that really has the potential with both competitors to possibly a 30-minute match, maybe an Iron Woman match in the future. Who knows? Especially with that training session, they were making it very clear that Meiko can go and go and go and go. And I feel that with that training session, they were showing that if pushed, Roxanne can go just as hard too, because she doesn't want to be shown up. So who knows? We can have where possibly Roxanne feels some type of way that she literally passed out after having a match with Meiko, and she knows that she can do better. She knows that she can endure a match with her without having to be sent to the hospital, and that could possibly be eating at her. But then we could possibly have a reluctant Meiko where she feels a lot of guilt about having a competitor that she actually really respects have to have their celebration interrupted because they literally been taken to the ringer too much and they're passing out in the ring. So there's a lot that they can do with this match, with this feud. even starting next week, who knows? So I think that this is still an open book. I don't think that they're going to close it, especially with the way that they left it off. It could make other women feel like Roxanne is vulnerable, so then they're going to want to try to um, get that title. So it leaves a lot of interesting possibilities for what could happen with Roxanne. Does this make her look like a vulnerable champ? Does it make her feel like now she has to really prove that this won't be a normal occurrence, that she's so drained from the match that she has to be sent to the hospital? But I think this is a really, really strong feud that they have for Roxanne at this point, with her really setting the foundation of her title reign. So I like what NXT is doing right now. I like the type of competition that they're bringing to the table, and like the differences and the feuds that they're showing, not only for the women's roster, but just all around, because everyone has a different reason why they would be competing for these titles, and to show and to see that they want to show those differences is really awesome. I like that they're respecting the women's roster that held up NXT UK and actually made them one of the best rosters over the past few years by having Meiko immediately get such a great feud going on, and also really showing that respect that they have for her, that they utilize her gifts for being an amazing trainer. It's really awesome to see. So I really want to continue to follow up with what happens with this NXT Women's Championship. And I really hope there's some clarity and like some good segments next week with them showing what's going to be happening with Roxanne and what's her status, and also them possibly showing what's going on mentally with Meiko after she had to see Roxanne being taken off and being sent to the hospital. So if you haven't seen it yet, I really encourage you to look at the lead up to this feud and then the match that commenced this week between Roxanne and Meiko. But that is the end of this episode. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope that you're looking at all these great feuds that have been coming up this spring. And yeah, just keep watching. Next week, we're gonna have another great show, and I'm really feeling amped up by these awesome things that I've been seeing recently with women's wrestling. So I guarantee you we will come back with another strong episode next week. Keep watching, and I'll see you soon.